that we are doing things because we think we're supposed to. Somebody says, you got to post on Instagram. You got to post on Instagram every day. And we do it because we want to do things right. But we need instead, the critical piece here is that we have to know how what we are doing is getting us closer to a new client. If you're doing anything and you don't know exactly how it gets you closer to a new client, it's probably time to gain that clarity or let it go. And so the purpose of this talk today is to help you understand, after 3 years of obsessing about what does it really take, truly at its core, to build a coaching or therapy practice, here's what I found. It's a 3-part model, and it's pretty straightforward. First of all, people have to know that you exist. We have to, what I call, pierce the veil of ignorance. There's all these people standing over here on the other side of ignorance saying, help me. And you're just right on the other side saying, I can help you. I'm the right person to help you. But they do not know that you are alive. So the very first piece of this model is to make sure that people know you exist. We have to grab an iota of their attention. And then over time, we have to build relationships with those people. This is your superpower. This is what you're good at. And then you have to make offers. Now, right in the center is building relationships, and that is where your strength is. Usually when I talk to coaches and therapists, the struggle is on one side or the other. Either they really don't like to draw attention to themselves, and so nobody knows that they exist, or tons of people know they exist, but they never ever ask them, do you want to work with me? One or the other of those things is probably at the heart of why, if your private practice is not where you want it to be, that's why. But building relationships, I mean, today we're going to talk about a way to sort of make that a little less work intensive, but building relationships is what you're great at. In fact, if everybody is drawn to you and you have a huge platform, it's because you make great relationships. And if you don't really like to draw attention to yourself, but every single person who knows about you wants to work with you, it's because you build great relationships. So we have the heart of it already. And what we're going to talk about today is how to automate a little bit of that and really build out piercing the veil of ignorance, making sure people know that you're alive, and then really getting comfortable making offers. That's what we're going to do today. So let's dive in. We're going to start with piercing the veil of ignorance. So like I said, you exist on one side of a veil of ignorance, and on the other side are all of the people that need your help. All right, so how do we go about gaining that iota of attention? Now, I want to be really clear that what we're doing here is gaining an iota of attention, eyeballs focused on you. This is just the first step. And in fact, it's the easiest and most frustrating of the 3 steps, because so many of the people that you get to look at you are going to bounce, meaning they're not going to stick around and build a relationship with you. 80%, an 80% bounce rate, meaning the people who pay a little bit of attention to you either on social media or when you're speaking or whatever it is you're doing to gain attention, 80% of those people are never going to think about you again. And that can be really hard on us when we're empathetic, interpersonal people. But you have to just really understand that the first step here is just to get a lot of eyeballs on you so that the ones that stick, you can start to build attention. So how do we do that? Well, there's lots of different ways. You can, of course, network. And that is a great one because the one-on-one relationship building can actually bloom right there. When you have something in common or you help people with the problem they're struggling with, the relationship building can start right away. So that's a great one. You can speak. You can, and that's a good one too because it's one-to-many. And you're giving people a really good idea of who you are and how you help people. And so the minute you step off the stage, you can start building relationships. You can, of course, post on social media. This is something that, we think of it as a way to build relationships, and you can, but it really is a fairly shallow relationship, but it's a relationship, right? And as long as you're posting regularly, you can build that relationship over time. Of course, there's Facebook ads and Google AdWords. These are like one and done opportunities to get an eyeball your way. And then, of course, there's cold outreach. Cold outreach is where you reach out to people who do not know you and you say, hi, I'm Amanda. I help coaches and therapists to get more clients so they can make more money. And most of them are going to be like, ugh. But some of them will be like, that's amazing. I'd like to know you more, right? So all these are sort of in order from the most efficient in terms of getting to the relationship to the least efficient to getting the relationship. But the least, if you'll kind of see that they also go in order from most involving you to least involving you. So these are all ways that you can build knowledge of who you are. And of course, there's the referral network, which actually the reason it's after cold outreach is because you have no control over it. You cannot make somebody refer to you. You can't do it. So it's totally outside of your control. And it rests most of all on the relationships that you create with your channel partnerships, your channel partners and your referral partners. So you can do all of these things. These are all ways that you can gain that iota of attention. And you should try all of them. And when one of them starts to work for you, you should just rock it. You should make it happen. However, you have to remember that what you are getting, right? Like what you can buy is an eyeball, but what you have to capture is their attention, right? So I can stand in front of you, and if your boss said you had to be here watching me speak, your eyeballs are on me, but maybe not your attention. Certainly the same thing is true of Facebook ads, certainly true of a cold email in your email inbox. And it can even be true. I don't know if any of you have had the experience of networking where you walk up to someone and introduce yourself and they barely notice and turn around and walk off. You have to capture attention. And that's what all of these things have in common. And the way that we're doing it most of all is through copywriting. So, and that's funny because copywriting is the way that we grab people's attention and we draw them towards us and we bring them into relationship. But it is also the thing that most of my clients, whether they're coaches or therapists, are most afraid of. One of my very favorite comments from the research calls that I did in preparation for this talk is, she said, I am a therapist, not an English teacher. And there is just so much copy that has to be written. There's copy on your website. There's copy in your Facebook ad posts. There's copy in your Psychology Today profile. There's, it's copy everywhere. And sometimes my clients will ask, why is it so dang hard to write good copy? And very often other people who help coaches and therapists to do the same thing will say, well, they just don't know what to write, so I'll make them a template. And those are helpful. I mean, who doesn't love a template, right? But I think it misses the point. Because honestly, I think at the root of the reason why writing copy is so difficult for coaches and therapists is because our instincts are bad as coaches and therapists. We are cursed by our in-depth understanding of their issues, right? So when somebody like you understands a complex and nuanced topic deeply, they tend to talk about that same topic in a deep, process-oriented, therapy speak kind of way. And that is not good copy. That is not resonant copy. So one of the first things that we do when I'm working with a client is to break them of the habit of speaking like a therapist when they're creating their marketing. So I'm going to give you an example that actually will help you to feel what it's like to be your ideal client when you're talking to them in your expert speak. So I very recently I do these in-person in New York City therapist and coach connection hours. And I recently did one about search engine optimization, which is basically like, how do you make it so your website gets on the first page of Google? That's basically the whole point of SEO. And Let's just say that you, and I was thinking about this because I was learning about SEO in preparation for it. And let's say that you feel like you've been really working. You have been working so hard. You've been networking, you're getting out there, you've been blogging, you've been guest posting, you've been speaking. You're feeling good about it. You're like, this is great. Like, I'm making a name for myself. So you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get a glass of water, and you pick up your phone on your way back to bed, and you Google yourself, right? You Google yourself. And you are not on the first or second page when all you did was Google your name, right? You Google yourself and you are not there, right? And before you know it, you are like trying to figure out, how can I get my website on the first page of Google? Like, why am I not showing up for me? Like, what is happening here? And before you know it, you're in that like rabbit hole, that panic that only 3 a.m. Googling can produce. You're like, I got to get some help with this. I have to solve this right now. That story of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and Googling something in a panic is a great prompt for you when you're trying to figure out, what is it that my clients are struggling with? So let's say that you're doing that and you come across this copy. Are you ready to make your SEO sing? Learn how to up your backlinks and rank for more difficult keywords. Sign up for my free webinar now. So, did you feel your butt cheeks clench? Right? It feels so irrelevant. Why are you talking to me like I'm a moron? And also, what is a backlink? Right? You are in a moment. You're in a panic. You don't want to learn about SEO. You want to get your dang website on the first page of Google. And this copy is not meeting you there. Now let's see how it feels. See if it feels any different to you when it sounds like this. Have you ever Googled your business and discovered 3 pages of people with your name before you found yourself? How frustrating is that? So frustrating. Well, fear not, my friends. I've got you covered. In my free webinar, I'm going to show you 3 super simple ways to make sure that you show up on the very first page of Google. Now it feels better, right? I kind of feel heard, right? Yes, it is so frustrating. And there are simple ways that I could show up on the first page of Google. Maybe I will sign up for your free webinar. Right? It feels a lot better. It meets us a little bit more where we're at. But now what if it said this? Have you ever Googled your private practice and discovered 3 pages of people before you found your own website? How are you going to help people if no one can find you? It's so frustrating. Well, fear not, my friends. I've got you covered. In my free webinar, I'm going to show you 3 super simple, totally low tech ways to make sure that you show up on the very first page of Google. Register now and let's get you those clients. Now, this one probably feels a lot better because this one shows that the person who was writing it cared about you, cared enough about you to show up, to spend their ad dollars to help you with the problem you actually have. Not the problem they think you have, because they understand that really your problem is backlinks and more difficult keywords. But the problem that you know you have at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're Googling yourself and in a panic that all of your work is for naught because Google can't find you. Now, the same thing is true for you. Do you care enough about your ideal clients to write copy that meets them where they're at? This is really important. Now, here's an example out of the world of therapy. I saw this exact meme here on the left. You have to trust the process to feel better. I saw this exact meme from a therapist on LinkedIn this week. Now, it's not that it's not true. You do have to trust the process to feel better, but it's not connecting with me. It's not making me feel like you get what I'm going through. It just feels like you're talking at me. You're being an expert. Now, on the right, even when you're getting better, there will be days when you feel like shit. trust yourself. You got this. That is saying to somebody, I know how you feel right now. I know the story you're telling yourself is maybe I'm not getting better. If I feel this bad today, maybe I'm not getting better. But no, you can trust yourself. You've got this, right? It's right there in the mind of your ideal clients. So what I want to hear from you for a second here is what makes this one better? And I'm going to figure out how to see the chat box because I want to hear your thoughts. What's better about this? Let's see what you have to say. Do you recommend using questions? Sometimes I do. We'll talk about that more. But what makes this one better than you have to trust the process to feel better? Does anybody have any ideas? I like to curse when I'm frustrated. Yes, exactly. Thank you for saying that. Exactly. Somebody on, when I was giving this example another time, she was like, I would never say shit. And I was like, that's okay. But would they? Would they say shit? Because if they would say shit, then you might want to think about saying it. At least not like all the time. I'm not saying you have to change yourself. But you know, if that's what they say, then that's what they say. Yes, you have to versus you can do this, right? Talking at them versus talking to them and helping them. It's down to earth and honest. Yes, thank you. Not sure where these red lines are coming from. If anybody's drawing on the screen, if you could hit your eraser button, that would be great. It probably won't bother us too much. Yes, good. So I'm glad. I see that you see what's happening here, and that's great. And it's actually funny because one of the things that happens again and again when I work with clients is that they'll get, oh, thank you. They'll get really good at helping others long before they actually get good at helping themselves, like writing their own copy. They will get so good at telling other people like that, you know, I feel like you could resonate a little bit better. That's what's so great about like mastermind communities, because then you have people to be doing the process of helping them get better so that you then start to really get better on your own. But you still have people to catch you when you make mistakes. Okay, that was a little bit of an aside. So you have their attention. Now you're writing amazing copy, or you will once you've practiced it for a while. Now what are you supposed to do? You've got a teeny little bit of attention. So what are you going to do? Well, here's the thing about marketing, right? Most marketing out there in the world is designed to create status. So Estee Lauder is going to help you have all these men look at you. Coca-Cola is going to make you an athlete. Nike is going to make you unstoppable. All of those things are about status. But as coaches, we cannot offer status. When people, or coaches and therapists, we can't offer status. We have to offer instead relationships. So it's really important that we take the time required to meet our clients where they're at and to use the people who sort of stick, to use our relationship building powers and offer them a deeper and deeper connection over time. That's very, very important. So, because for us, we can't offer status. We have to offer relationships. So for us, relationships have to be built with our marketing. The marketing can't be creating status while you're over here offering relationship. That's a mismatch. So anytime you feel, in fact, I would say like if you feel uncomfortable with marketing or in all the things that you see about marketing out in the world, it's probably because you intrinsically understand this already. That the advice you're being given is to be, you know, to stand above, to give, to create the opportunity for them to have status. But in actual fact, what we have to offer are relationships, because when you are feeling badly, you're not looking for status. You're looking for comfort. You're looking for relationships. So we have to do it differently. So now, of course, you can build relationships through social media. You can. But like I said, they are a little bit shallow. So what we're really doing here is like, that's fine. A shallow relationship is better than no relationship at all. We get a little bit of attention. We build a little bit of shallow relationship. And then your job is to reach out and bring them closer, bring them closer, bring them closer. And you can do that, of course, through a weekly or monthly newsletter where you're sharing who you are, what you think, your passion for their problems. And then you can start making invitations. Now, everybody knows that everybody hates to be sold, right? Nobody ever wants to be sold, but people love to be invited. People love to be invited, to be told, I'd love to see you there. Come and do this thing with me. So you can send direct emails making invitations to an event that you're doing. Maybe you're speaking somewhere, or maybe you're just going to do a Facebook Live and you want them to come and check it out because you were thinking about them, right? This section is about how we bring people closer and closer to us in relationships. And of course, you can create lead magnets. So wait, what are lead magnets? This is something that is really, really helpful in building relationships. So every single client that I work with, we create a lead magnet. A lead magnet is an experience. It's a relationship building experience that you can send through email. Now, it can be, I'm really fond of guided journaling things where there's a prompt and then there's a space where people can actually take notes. And so I create a lot of those. And the key to them, for example, here's one: how to speak the language of your ideal client, is a lead magnet that I created. It takes people through a lot of what we just did. Imagine it's the middle of the night. What are they saying? What are they Googling? Takes them through that process. And what it does is it creates a relationship with people about where they now know a little bit what it would feel like to work with you. That is the key of it. It gives your client a quick win to a concrete problem, and it helps them to see what it would be like to work with you. I'm going to say that again. It meets your clients where they're at with a concrete problem. So this one is meeting somebody at, like, I'm writing terrible copy. How can I fix that? Yours might be, I walked in the door, one of my clients is creating a what to do when you walk in the door and you thought everything was going to be like, you thought the kids were going to be asleep and everything was going to be clean, and you walk in and the house is a mess and you feel suddenly enraged at your partner, right? That's a moment that if you're her ideal client, you know that moment, you have felt that moment, and she's going to help you with that moment to give you a quick win. And the quick win in the concrete moment, and it also gives them a really good sense of how she talks about herself, what her stance is on this problem, how she goes about solving problems. It gives her potential clients a really good sense of what it might be like to work with her. So a lead magnet is something that you put together. Typically, you have it designed. If you're great with Canva, you can design it on your own. But typically, you have it designed. This is the one thing that I think it's worth the money to have it professionally designed, because it's something that you're going to share everywhere. You're going to share it with your ideal clients when you're at a networking event. You're going to say, oh my God, I have this amazing workbook. I'll send it to you. Give me your email address. And you send it to her. And she's like, this was amazing. And then you follow up in a couple of days. Or you can give it to channel partners, people who also work with the clients that you work with, and you want them to get a sense of how you work with clients. This is a great thing to do for those people as well. And it's funny because one of the lead magnets that I have is the how to use a lead magnet, because very often my clients are like, okay, I made this lead magnet. Now what am I going to do with it? So it obviously doesn't work if it's just sitting in your files on your computer. But when you start to really send it out, it gives everybody that amazing experience. And the good news is, the really, really great news is that it really, really works. This is an actual experience that I've actually had. I was sending out a 2019 planner earlier this year. It was like a, what were you proud of last year? What are you looking forward to doing next year? And it encouraged them to do like a fire ritual where they set something they're going to let go, they're going to keep in 2018. They're going to put it on a piece of paper and they're going to set it on fire. And this woman sent me an email. She was like, that planner thing totally changed my perspective. Can we work together? She asked me if I would work with her. So These things, they really genuinely do work. And marketing only works when it builds relationships in that way. So when your marketing is working for you, it's going to be creating relationships like that. People are going to want to talk to you some more. You're going to have an excuse to reach back out to them. And so that essentially is a way of, I think we have somebody who is unmuted, and there's a little bit of, okay, thank you. So this is a great marketing tool, because it is a marketing tool. It's a resource that you send to people because you want them to consider working with you or sending other people to work with you. But it builds relationships. And the great news is that it builds relationships without you having to do all the work again and again and again and again and again to build that relationship yourself. And so if you have the little worksheet that I sent to you, it doesn't matter too much whether you have it or not. There's no reason to like hop off and go get it. But there is a little spot that says, what's a quick win that you can give your potential clients through a guided experience? If you're having ideas right now, you can jot it down in there, because sometimes the hardest part of a lead magnet is figuring out what it should be. So we're looking for something that meets, just say it one more time, it meets your clients in a concrete place. It gives them a quick win, and it shows them what it would be like to work with you. So I think that you'll find that this kind of marketing is going to really leverage where your strengths already are. So I think that you're really going to enjoy having those lead magnets and sharing them. So you've got a relationship. Now what are you going to do? Right? So you've spent the time, maybe you noticed them they always were posting on your Facebook stuff. You reach out to them and you say, hey, I noticed that you asked this question. I actually have this lead magnet. Do you want me to send it to you? They're like, yes, I want to see that. That sounds awesome. You send them the lead magnet. You follow up with them. They're telling you all their business. I love this so much. It really spoke to me and changed my perspective. And then you have to make an offer. And honestly, when I am working with my clients, I think that the biggest shift comes when they start realizing how important it is to make an offer. So I have this client. She's a wonderful relationship coach. She's actually a therapist and a coach. She does both. And she was on the train, and someone sat down next to her, and they were chit-chatting. And as soon as, it was like a commuter rail, so they had some time to talk. And the woman, my client told this woman what she did, and the woman was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And the floodgates just opened, and she shared everything about her relationship. And this woman was an ideal client for my client. And she was telling me the story, and she was on top of the world. She was like, I was so great. I felt like I really am doing things that are really valuable. And I said, well, did you make an offer? Did you offer her your services? Did you say, I'd love to work with you on that? And she said, oh, no, I didn't. And I'm like, why not? You could have said, would you like to talk with me about that? You could have said, would you like to hear how I work with clients on that? And if you really wanted to be empathetic, you could say, that sounds hard. Do you want to talk with me about it? We could schedule a call. And she said, no, but I know how to do it. It's not like I don't know how to do it, although it is often helpful to hear those kinds of suggestions. She said, I couldn't do it though, because it felt really pushy. It felt just so pushy to say that. And like, I hear you. I know how you feel, because I felt that way too. Because you think if they want your help, they're going to ask you for it, but you cannot count on that. You have got to be their sign from the universe, right? You have to be the person who is taking on the rejection here. You have to be the person who says, can I help you with that? You need to choose a new thought on this. Because currently, there's two options. There are two thoughts that you could have. One, making an offer is pushy, right? You can hold on to that thought, and your practice was not going to grow, because you have got to make offers. You have to sell yourself. You are in a business. You have to sell your services. But if you take on the mindset that making an offer is an offer to help, it is the kindest, most strongly advocating thing in this world that you can do. When somebody opens up to you, to make them an offer, to help them. Let's talk about it. Let's see if I can help you. I'd love to help you with that. Because they're sitting around worried that, they've just told you everything that they think you need to know to make them this offer, but you don't do it. They don't think, oh, I'm so glad she's giving me the space to come to my own terms and ask her when I'm ready. They're thinking, oh, she doesn't want to work with me. They are feeling rejected by you because they're there telling you these things that were maybe hard for them to open up about. Like, they trust you enough to share themselves with you, and you're not making an offer. That's a rejection of them. And also, you have to realize, this, we're all sitting around waiting for a sign from the universe, all of us. Oh my God, the train got here right on time. Maybe I am supposed to get this job. Oh my gosh, this woman sat down next to me on the train. She's exactly the person I need. That's my sign from the universe. And as a person who's building a business, you have to make it your business to be their sign from the universe. You have to walk around the world holding a sign saying, I can help you with that. I mean, only the people you really can help. But you have got to be the person who's out and about, online at the grocery store, on the subway, online on Facebook, on Instagram. You have to be their sign from the universe saying, I can help you with that. You have to. You have got to change your thought about this, because I just want to be really, really honest with you right now. I don't think that you're afraid of being pushy. I think you're afraid of the rejection. And that makes a lot of sense because nobody likes to be rejected. But one of the things you have to do if you're going to build a private practice is to accept all of the rejection in the relationship, because the person you're helping is in a vulnerable state. They should not have to hold the rejection here. They should be the one being offered the service. You need to be in service of them, which means that you have to be willing to take on the rejection in this relationship. So instead of not offering your services because you're afraid of rejection, I want you to instead say this to yourself: my perfect clients are out there just waiting for me to make them an offer. It's very, very, very important that you make this shift in your mind, because if you don't, then I don't care how many lead magnets you have. I don't care how many times you post on social media. No, your practice isn't going to grow until you start having a really, really strong process of identifying people, drawing them to you, and then making them an offer. So that is the whole dang thing. Maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed, like, wow, I have a lot of work to do on my copy, and my mindset's a mess around making offers. And how am I going to go about creating this lead magnet? Like, I don't know any designers. I know that it can feel a little overwhelming, but I want you to realize that it really is just these three things. And there are a million ways you can pierce the veil, a million ways you can build relationships, and a lot of ways, although some are better than others, where you can make an offer. And if you are doing these three things, and really only these three things when it comes to marketing, if you are spending some time making sure that people know you exist, spending a lot of time building relationships with them, and along the way making an offer, which, by the way, builds more relationship with them, then if you are only doing things that fit inside this model, your to-do list is going to go way down. And you're going to know when to let something go. Because if your goal is to pierce the veil and nobody's paying a dang bit of attention to it, then that's not working. We need to fix it. or you need to let it go. If your goal is to build relationships and this is the thing you're doing because you think it fits into building relationships and it doesn't seem to bring anyone closer to you, you let it go. And if you are making offers and no one is really signing up to work with you, then we have to fix that too, right? If the way that you're making the offer is turning people off or it's not directive enough or whatever, we'll figure out what it is. We have to fix it. So this model actually tells us exactly what we need to be doing. And anything that we can't put in this model, you've got to stop doing it. Because the internet is full of opinions, and some of those opinions are going to lead you astray because it's designed to help you create status, but we need to create relationships. Or